Welcome to the Ride of My Life podcast. I'm Caroline Rena, and here, let the ride inside adventure begin. I will share what it's like on my own healing journey, and through what I learn and become aware of, provide insight to your journey as well. Hey everyone, I'm Caroline Rena, and welcome to the Ride of My Life podcast. And today we have Stacey Lepitre, and I'm really grateful and happy and excited to have her here. And I'm gonna do my usual. I'm gonna go through introducing her and what she does, and then we'll have some questions. And I think we're doing a process. I don't know. I'm always not privy to it until it's time. And you know, it's an organic thing here, so we'll just have some fun with this. And welcome, and thank you for being here, Stacey and everyone else. So Stacey Lepitre is the founder and creator of the Beautiful You coaching app. Being a certified health and life coach and one who has been through all kinds of painful situations, she has taken her passion and love for life to lift up other women by providing a safe space for them to connect and grow while they nourish their mind, body, and soul. That's beautiful, Stacey. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you are doing with the app and the other things that you're working on? That would be so cool to hear.
Yeah, so I guess my biggest heart's mission is to really break the silence of the sufferer. So many of us women, we typically do not want to share all the chaos or the colorful thoughts that we have going on in our heads, or our stress with our friends and family, because we totally just don't want to be a burden to anybody. So we hang on to it. That's why we like our shoulders get heavy.
So why our backs hurt? Why our backs hurt? Okay. We just had that conversation before coming in. Yeah, go ahead.
But also, we also don't share everything that goes on in the deep darkness of our minds, because we're scared we're going to have straitjackets showing up at our front door. So we hang on to this stuff, and it either pulls us deeper into a pit that we have to work effortlessly to claw our way out of, or we just end up getting comfortable down in that pit and we just lose our our joy for life. And I just, my heart breaks. I lost my mom to suicide, and I seen her in the midst of all of her struggle her whole life. And I just know that so many other women out there do the exact same thing, as we just hang on to this stuff, and because we're scared. And so I wanted to create a safe environment for women to come and to be heard and seen without judgment, because believe you me, I have enough of my own struggle of things that I still am navigating. I am not perfect. I am perfectly imperfect, and I do not have it all together. I still need help and support and a kick in the butt from time to time. But that's the joy of this community, is that there is absolutely no judgment where we're at. We're not here to compare ourselves. Mm-hmm. We are as organic and as natural. Like I'll show up with absolutely zero makeup in my hair and a messy bun half the time. Because that's just the way I usually run my life. It's just like, I don't typically, I'm not a high maintenance person, and I'm not I'm not trying to, say anything bad towards people that like to doll up, because I actually admire those people that have the patience and the know-how to do beautiful makeup, because I can always look like a clown if I try to attempt it. But I love women, and I love how we can come together and support one another, and we can learn so much, young and old. And so every woman, female out there, is welcome into the community. And it is a safe space. We do a wide variety of things in the space when it comes to like recipes, how to fuel our body. We have detoxes going on right now. We have meal plans that get delivered once a month. We have self-study guides and journal prompts and affirmations and challenges that we have to account ourselves in. Like, we have to check in and say, hey, I did it, or no, I'm struggling. Half the time you will see me struggling. So So it's like I needed this accountability too. So that's another motivating piece as to why I created this space, is that I'm like, I got to create something that I need, that I know so many other women out in this world are the exact same space as I am, where they've gotten a level of understanding of where they're at, where they want to go, and they just need the tools and resources, and without having to break the bank. And that is another piece of my heart, is just to be able to provide these tools and resources without having to break the bank.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Thank you. And it's interesting because a lot of times, and I've done this before with some of the things that I've gone through, it's like sometimes when we see something that needs to, or we feel in our hearts that needs to be birthed out there, and it's not there for us. And it's like, well, how do we do this? I need this support. Like I went through something called, and I've talked about this before on here, but it's called parental alienation. And having through the process of parental alienation, having my children, not being in my life and all this stuff. And it's like, when I first had this happen, there wasn't online, there was no information. I didn't know what to do. I wanted to connect with women, other moms who were going through it, and there was nothing out there. So eventually I got brave and I started a group for moms who have been through parental alienation. And I looked at the numbers just out of curiosity. I've only been on there to post because I've got someone taking care of it for me. But I noticed the numbers up at like 525, and it's been, I think, 4 years, maybe 4 years or 5 years, something. So there's
a lot of mamas that got broken hearts, right?
A lot, yeah. But I wanted to start it because I wanted to mend my heart. I wanted to climb out of that hole and heal.
I think a big piece of it also is to know that you're just not alone. Like,
yeah, exactly.
One in the struggle.
That's what I think is so cool about you creating this app, because so many women feel alone, and we feel like we have to be someone that we're not because of the way we've been trained generationally, I mean, there's so many, like I come from the just after the 1950s mother generation. And those are the women who they literally made booklets to explain to them how to prepare their home for when their husband comes home. And they've got pictures and all these really cool things, and they have to make sure their kids have their baths and are all dressed up, and they have to be all dressed up and have all their makeup. That's why a lot of women do the makeup thing, because they've been raised by women who were taught you have to put the makeup for your husband on for your husband, and get dressed up when he comes home from work, and give him this cigar or a cigarette or whatever, and take his shoes off and make his dinner and all this stuff. And all these women just started going, oh, because that's not who we are.
Yeah, well, my mama would barely roll out of bed before my stepdad will walk in the door.
Yeah, well, that was a little, I don't know how old your mom, but
she grew up in the 60s. So I lost her when she was 42. I was 19. So
yeah, do you mind going in a little bit to that? Because that's usually, I like to bring out as much as you can what your experience was, what your story was that allowed this healing for you, and this
for sure
it's out there for other women. Yeah.
So I am a product of prostitution, and I was born an addict. And so the first 6 months of my life, I was in rehab. Yay, me. And my mom, she just really, she was thrown into the foster system when she was 3 years old when her mom died. And so she just was tossed around like a rag doll. She was tormented beyond crazy things, like snakes in her bed and her underwear drawer, things like that. So her phobias were heightened massively. She had lots of abuse, lots of neglect, and she didn't know how to live life without abuse being part of the equation. So she self-soothed. So she self-medicated through addictions to prescription drugs, narcotics, cocaine, all the things, alcoholism, just trying to numb her pain without actually really understanding that there is a route that we could find and heal and move forward without these addictions trying to just numb. And So we grew up in that environment. Every man that she ever had come into her life, either we witnessed her get raped, we witnessed her get abused, guns in her mouth, threatening to blow her head off, cops blowing down the front door and wrestling men to the ground. Like, it's just all these things that we get to witness as a child, and just watching your mom get beat like that is terrifying. But at the same time, when I look at those, when I've gone through some of my own healing experiences, I've looked back at those situations that, you know, are etched into my DNA or into my mind, that they're almost as vivid today as they were the day that they happened, even if I was 4 years old, right? Like, but I look at those situations and I'm like, you know what? Like, I do believe that there was a higher power that was guarding and protecting us through those seasons, because things could have been a hell of a lot worse. And so I just always had this burning desire, like, life is not supposed to be like this. There's got to be something better. So I've always had that mindset growing up. My mom and my stepdad, they were together for quite some time. They had 2 other children. So there's my older brother and I, 4 of us in total. And my mom went off to my older brother's graduation. He was in another province, and then came home, and my stepdad had kicked her out, told the courts that she abandoned her children, which was so far from the truth. It was not even funny. And he moved in my mom's best friend. And so cheating with my mom's best friend. And then next thing you know, like, this lady's trying to play the motherly role. My stepdad would visit me in the night. So there was always things going on that weren't healthy environment for me growing up. But I also had a little sister. So I chose to stay with my stepdad to protect and guard my sister, because my thoughts were, if I leave, then she's going to be the target. So I thought I'd stick around and take one for the team, per se. But then when I was 15, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I ended up moving in with my mom. She was had her own apartment, but she also had a boyfriend, so she was rarely ever home. So at 15, you're thinking like, yeah, I got this, you know, like, I pretty much got the tat all to myself, right? So you're feeling pretty good about yourself. But again, my mom's toxicity or her mental health issues really got a toll on her. So she had her first attempt of suicide when I was 15, living in with her that year. And she used to pull me out of bed and sit me at the kitchen table and just share and pour her heart out on me. Like, I was her listening ear. I wasn't qualified. Who's qualified at 15 years old to be like a counselor or a nurturer in any way, shape, or form? She just needed a soundboard. And so that's what I was. And this one night, I just knew that something wasn't going to end right. So, you know, they get that burning intuition, this stomach nauseous feeling, like, don't go back to sleep. You know, it's 3 a.m. I know you got school tomorrow, but you need to make sure your mom's good. Right. So I kept knocking on the bathroom door. She was having a bath, and the first couple of times she answered, the last time she did not. And I busted down the door, and there she was. She sliced both her wrists, took a bunch of pills, and she was underneath a bathtub full of water. So I go into rescue mode, picked up my naked mother out of the tub, and she was foaming at the mouth, staring off into the distance. And I just kept talking to her as I had called 911. They came, they brought her back to life, restarted her heart, and took her into the hospital, bandaged her up, and sent her home. No psychiatric help, no check-in points, no resources, tools, no nothing. It just like, see you later. Like, go home to your 15-year-old. I know you just tried to end your life, but like, you got this. She didn't got this. Like, she was screaming for help.
Yeah.
And it was only a few years later, like, that was when I decided, like, I can't deal with this anymore. Like, who am I? Like, I am not qualified to be your savior. Like, I need to figure out my high school. Like, it was just way too much. And so I had moved out with a friend of mine at that time, and have been on my own since 15, which is no easy task, young people. Like, especially now these days. I don't even know how I did it back then, but I know for a fact, and these days, I could never have possibly imagined doing it. But that call that I received, you know, when I was 19, My mom and I had just, 2 weeks prior had a really bad argument, and we were fighting about who, because I was 7 months pregnant with my first child. And my mom and I got into an argument about who's going to come to the hospital and who couldn't come. And I don't know why we got into a fight about it, but she was pretty hard strung about this one individual. And I was like, you know what, if they do show up, which I doubt they will, they're probably just going to come in for 5 minutes and then just, show face and they'll be gone. So like, your grandma, like, you got the best seat in the house, like, don't worry about it. And she straight up said to me, if this person came to the hospital, then I no longer had a mom. Well, in my young and stupid state, I responded, I don't give an F if I have a mom. And those were the last words I got to speak to her, because we were both very stubborn, and to the point where, like, nope, she got to apologize first. Nope, she gotta, so we were just headstrong that way, probably a lot alike. And it was 2 weeks later that we received the phone call that she had taken her life. And that wrecked me. And if it wasn't the fact that I didn't have a child growing inside of me to keep me kind of on solid ground, and I say kind of because I was a fish out of water. When I lost my mom, my stepdad, aunts, uncles, everybody I knew to be my family were all like, you're not blood related. We don't want nothing to do with you. So not only did I lose my mom, but I lost everybody I knew to be my support system, my family. And I really, truly was a fish out of water. My older brother didn't know how to deal with the pain and the grief of losing our mom. And he went into addiction mode, like the self-soothing mode. That's what we were taught, like self-soothe, spread your legs for love, and run when trouble comes. Those are our, primary teaching lessons growing up as a kid. Like, good luck trying to survive with those lessons. So my brother was stuck in that space for 22 years. He's now two going on 3 years clean, and I'm so proud of him. But it was been a long journey for him to navigate the hurt and the pain and just everything that we hang on to, right? We think that these things happen and it's our fault for some reason. Like, even I hung on to that. Like, if I didn't say those words, maybe she'd still be here, because she leaned on me a lot. And for me to say something as nasty as I did, I thought that I had lit the flame to that decision for her. It took me a long time to realize, like, she was going to do it anyway. She did it when I was 15. She was going to do it anyway. She didn't get the right support to dig out the roots. So yeah, that's kind of the nutshell of the heart of why I have such a love for women that are in the struggle. Like, I know what it's like to experience loss. I know because I've lost not just my mom, but I've lost a lot of people in my life. And to be a single mom, I have a heart for them too, because I've been in that space for 6 or 7 years when my daughter was younger. And it's not an easy task. And so, and I've even gone through something similar as you, Caroline, when your kids kind of alienate you, right? Like, I had a season where my daughter totally put up the walls when she was, 18, and she's like, I don't want nothing to do with you. You're crazy, Mom. Yeah, I am just a tad crazy. But you're gonna have to love all of me. That's just who I am. I was the helicopter parent, because I thought, like, I needed to guard and protect and control every situation, because I didn't want her life to end up like mine. So I thought, if I can control it, which did not serve me well, that I would be able to help her navigate life. But that's not her path. She's got to learn her own stuff, just the same as any other child out there. They got to, get on the bike, scrape their knees, fall down a couple of times before they figure it out, right? So we got to take it as part of the learning. And
well, it is. And what's interesting is you are an incredibly strong and powerful woman to have been able to go through that since before you were even born, and watch and witness and take in all that energy. And holy cow, I'm like, like, I thought mine was bad. I had a narcissistic mother, and she parentified me, like, but not to the extreme that your mom did, and all this stuff. But it's like, oh my gosh, I'm just sitting here listening to the story and going, how in the world would I ever be able to do that, knowing what I struggled through to do what I've been trying to do and healing myself? And it's like, how do you can't compare stories, because everybody's different.
What
And
I always say is that my mountain might look bigger to you, but it's the same size in comparison to the journey that we all have to take. It really doesn't matter how much struggle we have or lack thereof in life. If your struggle is causing you grief to try to like make that next step, it is a struggle nevertheless. So we can't judge our struggle to somebody else's. Be like, hey, like I've been through so much worse, get over yourself. Like we can't, that's not it, because everyone's mountain is enormous. That's the word. Like
enormous.
Ginormous. When we're at the bottom of it, right? And it just feels like it's unattainable, that we're never going to be able to make it to the top or even halfway point. Is some of our goals is just to get to the halfway point, you know.
What I want people to hear is though that like you could have these, like earlier today I was on Wisdom App and I was actually talking about micro traumas and little kids that experience these little things that nobody means to do. You're doing it out of the goodness of your heart, just like you were saying you were helicopter parenting, and that's a micro trauma because you're really doing it because you love your child, but it turns out that it was not the best thing to do, you know, whatever that looks like. But then there's these macro upon macro upon macro traumas that went on throughout your life. And for you to get to a point where you recognize, even through all that, to break this cycle and find your way is so like people, it doesn't like Stacey's saying, it's like, there are a lot of us out there, and I'd love to have a conversation with you about this too, Stacey, at some point, but there's highly sensitive people, and I've re-recognized that I is one again, and I happen to have like 26 out of the 27 traits of a highly sensitive person. I'm like, yes, okay. So if you're really sensitive and you have like one little itty bitty thing, like someone not emotionally nurturing you, that feels the same as what Stacey went through, but it doesn't diminish what Stacey went through. And then what you went through isn't diminished by the fact that Stacey went through what Stacey went through, you know. So it's a perceptive thing on how we recognize how to do the healing and choosing to do the healing and stepping in and saying, well, you know, instead of saying, well, I can't do that because whatever, you say, wow, well, she did that, then there's no reason why I can't do it. You know, and for all these things to have, for you to have experienced all of these things and still show up, that's the part where I want people to see this, like you're still showing up with this presence and this beauty and this, you know, the strength and all of this, and after everything you've gone through and dealt with and experienced and had to, you know, rectify. And I mean, so when you were born, did you have like fetal alcohol syndrome, or is that?
I was addicted to cocaine.
Oh, wow. Okay. And see, and this could have gone either way because your brain's affected by by alcohol or drugs or whatever when you're born from a parent who happened, or from a mother who happened to be using or whatever. So your brain gets affected. So on top of the fact that you made the decision to shift, you actually had all this other stuff that you had no control over going on in your mind and your body to break through as well.
And
is that
just, yeah, absolutely. It has not been an easy journey. I'll tell you that much.
I can
imagine. You know, just being able to, you know, I have a faith, so I do believe that there's some things that happen, the spiritual side of things that are completely out of our understanding, that has been able to come alongside and support me in that healing. But I do believe that first initial, like, turn on the faucet to my healing journey was the foundation of forgiveness, of just actually walking through forgiving myself, forgiving my mom, which was not easy because she wasn't here, forgiving my stepdad, which, you know, God really truly did give me a love for that man, even though all of the horrific things that he put me through. It's remarkable, and there's no way I can say that without some kind of spiritual intervention. There's no way that could have happened any other way. But And then he's healed all of those relationships with the family that rejected me. They're all like, well, you know, blood related, we don't want nothing to do with you. Well, now I have amazing relationships with them. Even my grandma, who's no longer with us, apologized for all the horrible things that she said to me during that season of life, which I never expected. I just was told, go and love on her. And so I did. And it wasn't easy, but that's what I did. And without any expectation, without anything, like I would always go and just give and support, you know, bless her with treats and flowers and just listen, because she was hurting, and because she got thrown into a home and it was very, very traumatic for her. And so I would just go and be that soundboard for my gran, and we developed an amazing relationship. And months prior to her passing, I went to visit her, and she had apologized for everything. And I was not expecting that, but she just broke my heart wide open. And it's just been a fabulous witness to the power of my faith, just to see all these different things come into play. And I truly just can't leave that out of the equation. And I know it's a tough topic in a lot of areas for people when it comes to spiritual talk, because there's so many different avenues that people can navigate or go down. And your journey is your own, and you have to own your personal spiritual journey and not have any shame behind what you attach your heart to, because at the end of the day, I believe that we all have this interconnectedness with the power of our spiritual walk is the foundation of love. And if we can extend love, then everything else just kind of like works itself out. Like it's amazing. I don't know.
Well, I mean, share, because part of this, the part of the journey I'm on right now is the discovery of self-love. And what I'm noticing though is within the last week, just kind of digging deeper when I resurfaced the whole highly sensitive thing, and I'm like, oh, that's who I am. That's who God made me to be. So that's how I'm going to show up in this world. And that's okay. That's a good thing, you know.
A superpower.
Superpower, yay, woo! And so with this piece of recognizing this, I made a decision that I would start meditating more. Like initially I was meditating in the morning and that was it. And then I do my day and I work too much. And, you know, we've had this conversation, yada, yada, yada. And then I was like, wait a minute. Why don't I talked to a friend of mine about 2 Thursdays ago, and he was telling me about this group that I could be a part of that meditated. And I was like, why don't I just start meditating on my own prior to meeting with them? Because it wasn't going to be another 5 days before we met. And so then I started meditating as soon as I woke up in the morning for about a half an hour. I picked 2 times during the day, like I think 10 and 2, and adjusted everything so I could do it again for 20 minutes to a half an hour. And then I would meditate. I would go to bed early, which I had learned a long time ago I needed to do, about a half an hour before I intended on falling asleep, just to kind of calm things down and let things go or whatever. And I would do it again. And once that started, it was like after the first 5 or 6 days, the weirdest thing started happening, where it was like I know how to, I'm not a manipulator per se, but I guess I manipulate things to get to work through things to help me understand life or whatever. You know, I don't know how to say that. Yeah. But what I was doing all my life was trying to manipulate to heal. It felt like that. And then when I recognized what this was and I started doing this meditation, it was almost as if all I had to do, this particular meditation is using certain words, connecting to self and God and universe and, you know, all these things, and just saying these words in my head. And that's a good thing that I chose this one, because I have such a talky head that literally even now doing this meditation, I have to catch myself so I don't go off in another direction. I'm like, focus, focus. But what I'm finding, I'm trying to get myself back, see, focus. What I found was just being in this space and doing it, and it just happens. It's like, it's not even describable. It's just something that happens. Like, we don't have to force the outcome. We just flow the outcome, or accept the outcome, or be aware of the outcome. We can do that, We don't have to do anything. I'm just laying there, saying, and I'm like, I've been doing all this work for 30 years and this is what I know now. And this is easy. And I'm like, what is this? I don't understand.
Yes.
But there's a truth in that. And then when you start to open that, who we are at our core level is a connection with the divine and love and all this, like you said. But once we connect with that inside of us, there's this peace and joy that starts to happen, and things like we're talking like this right now, and I don't recognize myself. 5 years ago, no way. There's no way we wouldn't be having this conversation, and it's like, okay, I get it. I'm following guidance. Okay, I see, but you're right. It's like, but you don't have to do it the way someone set you up to do your spiritual life. You can do it based off of what you experience, what you recognize is right for you, and just take these little baby steps, and it's okay. And like even meditating, you could just, if you're not the type of person who can lay there for 20 minutes, sit in front of a candle for 5 minutes and just stare at it. That's meditating, just get quiet. That's it.
Yeah. And it's an art to be able to quiet our minds, because we go through 80,000 thoughts a day or 60,000 thoughts a day, right? It's ridiculous.
And then wait, but those are the conscious thoughts that we're not even conscious of. Then there's all the unconscious thoughts, the 8 gajillion thoughts that go on under the surface that we don't know about, right? So yeah, but that's the thing. It's like being able to clear all those lies, all the conditioning, all of the whatever we were taught about who we're supposed to be or what we're supposed to do with our lives, and all that stuff that we've learned just so we can be molded into this way of being that isn't who we are at all, which is really challenging. And then doing something like you've done and that I've done, which is similar but not the same, and still coming to an understanding of who we are in there. And it's like, here, I have to do the angels singing. I always do this when my revelation thing happens. Every time. That's my new aha moment thing. What was that?
It's so true, Caroline. I learned last year, I did a study, and one of the things that I learned was that there's different pathways to God, right? And that's where my heart gets broken, is that so many people have been hurt by the church, all the religious laws and rules and all these different things that you have to A, B, and C, or going to burn in hell. Well, that puts a sour taste in people's mouth.
More than a sour taste. That's another trauma. Yeah.
Right. And seriously, what kind of love, is that, with all these religious laws and rules? That's not the God I serve. He is so compassionate and so gentle and such a gentleman that he ain't going to just force himself into your life and tell you X, Y, and Z, or you're going to burn in hell. He's going to be like, great, I'll take you just the way you are, but I ain't going to leave you. I love you too much to leave you this way, because you're broken, you're hurt, you got all these things. I want to get into those places. Will you let me? And if we let him, he will do the work. And that different pathways, it can be just going out into nature, going for a walk in the forest, sitting beside a lake. It could be painting or dancing. I love to flag. My shoulder's messed up right now, so I can't do any of that. But it's just a different way of just kind of allowing my thoughts to be quieted, is through flagging, because I just get lost in the colors of my flags.
Flagging?
Yeah, so it's just like big pieces of material on poles. I'll have one in each.
I was trying to figure. Okay.
And I fly them, and they almost like cocoon me. It's like it makes me feel like I'm in this little, like this oasis all to myself. I can be in a group, like I can obviously not in a big room full of people because I'll hit somebody, but it just feels like it just kind of like hides me in this space, and that's where I can quiet my mind when I'm in there, because I don't think about anybody else. I don't think about anything else that's going on around me. I just get lost in the colors and the beauty of my flags, and lots of conversations go on in that space because no one can see me.
Yeah. That's so cool, because I want to bring this up because it's something like every attempt to connect with God through religion all have things that are similar, but we kind of judge that theirs is wrong or, whatever. And when you were talking about the flags, I'm like, well, that kind of reminds me of like dervish dancing, where they have those like flowy, whatever they're wearing or whatever they're holding, like flowy, what do you call
ribbons.
it?
I have ribbons.
I don't
too.
even, yeah. And it's like, wait, that's similar. It's still a connection, or anything where you're like, you lose the brain talking and getting into the body and doing the dancing and doing or singing or, painting or playing an instrument or whatever, when you let go of that thing. So whatever it is that you choose to do that pulls you out of this three-dimensional existence that is really challenging right now, and puts you in a space of just flowing and loving. And no, I'm not talking about hippies and, they had the right intention, because that's what they wanted the world to be like. And that's all, but we're learning from that, and we're incorporating all kinds of different things into that whole flowy, lovey, peace, love thing. And the peace is in here. You don't have to, I can show up now wherever I go, and all of a sudden these dogs are like coming, they're coming up to me, or children are like, they're just looking at me, and I'm just going, oh my gosh, this is what it is. This is it, because they can see it, and most adults can't. And so I'm walking, I am that peace that's walking through there or whatever. I am that love. So that kind of reminds me, I was raised Jewish, so there's not a lot of Jesus information that I understand, but him just walking, and everybody's like, or Mother Teresa, everybody's like, that's what it feels like. And it's the coolest thing. So whatever you do, like you're sharing, to get you into that space is what you need to do to get you into that space. So just do it.
And you don't have to listen to all the expectations of others. You have to be true to yourself, right?
Yes.
Like, what is it that you need? And how is it that you're going to get there? My husband's
it's
a German.
Okay to need it. It's okay to need it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're all, there's no mold for humankind. We are all uniquely, perfectly imperfect. We all came into a sinful world, a broken world. We're all broken people. No one's perfect in this world. And I had to come, I used to have this judgment that, God had to work on in me. I would be extremely intimidated by beautiful women, because I thought, oh, they're a threat to my marriage. They're, they got it all together. And I'm just like this broken, shattered person. Like, this is like that season where I'm just like, who the hell am I? And I'd be extremely intimidated. And I thought that everybody hated me. It didn't matter, and it must have been like, I would walk into a room and they could be having a bad day themselves. And just the way they're processing their bad day, I thought that they were snarling at me or they were talking ill of me. I would always jump to the worst case scenario. Until I kind of got to this place where God put some people in my life that were drop dead gorgeous, who I would have had in that driver's seat of like intimidation, like, I don't want to be friends with you, like, and then it's just like, I got to hear their heart and their struggle. I'm like, you're no different than I am.
Yeah.
We're in this together. And it helped me understand, like, I don't need to be intimidated anymore. I am who I am. You take me or you leave me. I'm not going to be offended. I'm not going to be everybody's cup of tea. I've got quirky things. But at the same time, like, I won't judge. You don't judge me. Like, just, there's a song that came out that I actually gravitated to. It's like, if you can be anything in the world, if I be kind to you, will you be kind to me?
You know what the title of it is? I'd like to pull it up later.
I'll send it to you. It's on my playlist. I think it's something Be Kind. I think it's called Be Kind, but I'll get the artist for you. It is so good. And it talks about like, dressing up and not, even if it's not Halloween. So it's talking about all the different things that we can choose to be in this world. And as long as I'm kind to you, I just ask you to be kind to me. Like, this is my belief system. I'm not going to beat you down and tie you up and shove my beliefs down your throat, because that's not what God did for me. He came in gently and loving and asked for permission. So it's one of those things that if people are coming at you like that, and you're like, oh, that person drank the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's not my favorite either. Like it's I've had people tell me that my mom's gone to hell because she took her own life. I'm like, who are you, God? You ain't the judge. Like, you don't know my mom's path. And I strongly believe that my good father, has a place for her because she had enough struggle. She didn't have to go through, an eternity of struggle. Like, that is not your place. Like, who are we? We're just humans. We ain't the judge. And thank God for that, because I'd be a horrible one.
Yeah, and we do enough of judgment of our own too about ourselves. We don't need, and to be honest with you, just for my own clarity, because I don't see any, like when you were talking about God loving and there being, it's all about love. I don't even see judgment. I don't see anything like that. I see this gentle, like, energy just hold with like this, and that's it, and that's when I go into my meditations, that's kind of what I'm seeing there, is that gentleness. There's no judgment. Those are all human, from our hurt and what we've been through and everything. That's kind of, we've come up with those words, but this is all it is. This is what it feels like with me. And not to take away from what you're saying, that's how it feels like to me. So
it's true though, Caroline, because it is like, it's, he's got these good and perfect gifts are ready for us in the palm of our hand, and he's always reaching them out to us. And it's our part to play, is like, are we going to receive that gift, or are we going to reject it?
And that's reject.
We do, because we don't know how to receive because of our brokenness, right? And I had a conversation with a friend recently. She's a master exhorter. Like, she can lift anybody up. She encourages you right to the bones. Like, she is amazing, but she cannot receive it. So when you go to give her encouragement back or inspiration and try to lift up her heart and spirit, she'll just like, meh. I'm like, oh, no.
I was like that. I know.
Reject it. My friends out there, if you are rejecting love and encouragement, I encourage you and I urge you to stop and it's going to be hard.
If someone gives you, just don't even like try to figure out what it is or what they want from you or any of that kind of thing. Just say, ooh, thank you. It took me years to be that, because I couldn't.
Thank you for saying that one comment of like, trying to figure out what they want from you, because that was something that I always had stuck in my space all the time, in my head space, because anytime growing up, I was bait and switched all the time. And so you would get, you can do this, you can do that, or let's go do this if you just tell me the truth about this, and then you pour out your vulnerability, and then you're like beat or like hurt in some way, and it's like, so those things always. And even when it came to sex, because like I said, my mom taught us a few things in life: spread your legs for love, run when trouble hits, and self-medicate when you're hurting. And so but when I was trying to find love, try to find that acceptance, I always thought, and even being married almost 19 years, my husband to this day will give me compliments, and I am still catching myself rejecting. And I have to remind myself, like, no.
You know what? I gotta say this, Stacey, Missy Stacey.
Bring it, sister.
I did that when at the very beginning, right after you said, you were talking about what happened with you and your story. And then when you were finished, I said something about you being a strong woman, and you just went right past that. So you're still doing it. Just saying.
Yeah, it's still a struggle.
Well, guess what? If there are people out there, there are situations. Let me back up on this. There are Atlas kind of men, big, strong men, football player kind of men who could never go through what you went through. Okay. Do you hear me?
Yes, I am listening.
So that's when I heard all of that, I'm like, oh my God, you're standing here, like I said, that's the strength you have. It's not about being this big, strong guy, but you went through hell and back. That's where you got the strength from. I just want you to say thank you.
Thank you. I do catch myself more and more. Like it's a habit that you have to like nurture and cultivate.
Well, but if you can't see that on your own though, and you have no one to mirror that and show that to you, how the heck do you figure out how to cultivate that? It took a lot until people started saying, oh, but you are. So people did the same thing I just did with you, with me. And that's what helped me to start to recognize, they were mirroring the things that I loved about people were mirroring who I am. And that's what I learned. The things I didn't like about people were also mirroring who I am, and that's the stuff you love.
We can pinpoint stuff in other, like if you just like, why do you keep doing? And it's usually because we're seeing something in them that's in our own struggle, right?
That's right. Or struggle or greatness. We see our greatness in other people, these people that we're fully attracted to, that we love being around, and it's fun and that's everything good about us that we're seeing in these people, so we also get to recognize that goodness.
Yeah.
Not just the negativity. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yes. So good. See, we're always learning it. You go a day without learning something, it's a wasted day. So.
I know, right? I know. And I was just going to ask, did we talk about doing a process together, or was it just talking? You said something about the app process. That's what we talked about.
I'm not really sure what you mean by process, to be honest with you, but
because I know that you've done coaching work and different things like that, but that's not your intention here, that you want people to find your app and all that. And then we had talked about doing some sort of a process with the app, maybe no. Okay. So there's no process.
Well, I could just elaborate kind of the different options within the app and what the heart is as we're in growing, coming in, navigating 2022. Because I've kind of been working so hard at building the community of this space, I haven't taken on any one-on-one coaching clients because I wouldn't be able to serve them at my highest potential. And that's not fair. So I have put that on hold for the season until we kind of get to a certain space, and then I'll open that door back up. But I've been partnering with other coaches, and I call them the pillar partners, the pillars within the community. So other coaches are coming into this space to help serve and share their wisdom and expertise within the space. So you're not just coming into the Beautiful You coaching app and just get me. You're going to get a wide variety of coaching support. Even Caroline has come and shared her expertise within the space, and I'm so grateful for that. So we have a thing called Spotlight Coaches and Your Story Matters. So coaches have been coming and sharing how they've overcome some form of adversity in their life, and or sharing their wisdom and knowledge with the community to help you get tools in your tool belt that are going to help support you in all different areas of life. So coming into this year, we've made a couple little shifts when it comes to the memberships within the community, because I'd give it away for free. I give away the farm if my husband would let me.
No, because if you don't make money, I help more people.
I love giving. I love giving. It's just my heart's nature. And so coming into this year, like all last year, we were building the community and awareness piece, and there were some sketchy things going on. Some boys think it's a meat market, and then there was, some other things that were happening that were inappropriate. And so coming into this year, there's 3 memberships. The base tier, I call it the Rise membership, and you get 30 days free. So if you download the app, you can access that Rise membership for free for 30 days, just to navigate, see if it's a space you want to be in. And then after that 30 days, it's only $1.99 a month. And I want to keep it low so that people that need the help in the community and the support can get it at a fraction, like less than a coffee.
Mhm.
And then we
Way
have,
less than a coffee.
yeah, and then we have the middle tier is kind of the self-study tier. So we have like a self-study guide that goes out every month. We have meal plan that goes out. We have, we're building a fitness library and a meditation library. Just to kind of give you the tools that you need, a one-stop shop per se. It's kind of the ultimate vision of this space. And then the top tier, and that's the Shine membership is what I call that. And then the Sparkle membership, which is a higher tier, which is only $47 a month, is where you get a little bit more coaching support. So we have focus groups where you can get plugged in with other people that are struggling with addictions and recovery, or grief and loss, or parenting, all these different things. And you can align yourself and surround yourself with people that understand your struggle. That you're not just going to be talking to anybody and everybody that'll listen. You're talking to people that understand the struggle. And then we have coaching support that comes into those focus groups that are trained in that area, whether it be addictions or grief or just emotional wellness, whatever it may be for you. It just helps support and give you the right support, coaching and tools in your tool belt to kind of navigate to a whole nother level. We also do monthly accountability challenges and all kinds of different things in that space. So
Yeah, and I've always leaned towards, because I had a vision one time that when I was working in the parental alienation realm, where I would gather, like I'd have a website and gather all of the people who were doing the work in one place, because it's so much easier than trying to dig through a good millions and millions of websites and this and that. And it's like, I can't do that, because I get overwhelmed easily by that stuff. But having one place that actually has all that information and all those resources and all those opportunities is like gold. It sounds like it's gold, and that sounds like such an incredible, and I look forward to being a part of that when it comes. I'm glad it's slow, because I'm still kind of building myself to the point where I'm ready for whatever happens, if whatever happens. But it's like we have such a need in our world for this type of thing right now. And it's so wonderful that you're putting this out there, putting yourself out there, sharing your experience, sharing your soul, sharing everything that you've been through, so other women can see that no matter what you've gone through, the deepest depths of hell, and build yourself back up to, look, she's got a cute little smile on her face. She doesn't have that anymore, that terror, the whatever you went through. I say it again, I can't even imagine what that looked like or felt like. And it's like, now that you can present yourself in such a loving and peaceful and kind and joyful presence, it's just like, I'm looking at the daisy behind you. It's like the light is just and it's all there. Yeah. And you've done all this work, and you've done a lot, you've done good for yourself, and the more good work you do for yourself, the more you can do for other people. That's the way I see it. So,
and just to encourage you, I'm on the journey with you. I'm not, like I said, I'm perfectly imperfect. I may have got some levels of healing that might be a little ahead of you, but by all means, I will not think that I'm almighty.
You know what?
I'll jump in that pit with you, and we'll have a little.
Yes. Well, I'm not going to jump in the pit. I'm going to reach my hand.
I will. We'll have a cup of tea, and then we'll pack our bags and help you.
But it was oh, I forgot. It's okay. And this is something so powerful, and I'm so looking forward to seeing the outcome and where this goes and everything, and continue, conversation with you and everything. And just so people know what is, and I'll be posting the links anyway on the YouTube channel and on Anchor. If you're an Anchor, kind of pushes out to Spotify somehow. I'm still learning all this stuff. It doesn't matter. But anyway, so I'm going to put the links on there, but if you could give the link or tell everybody how to get onto the app here, and then we'll put the link over there.
So go to either app store, Android or Apple, and you just type in Beautiful You Coaching. The logo or the icon is just a heart that looks like a world. So very colorful. You'll kind of come into a very colorful platform. I try to keep it lighthearted and lots of fun and warm environment. And, or if you want to learn a little bit more, you can go to my website at staceylepitre.com.
Yeah, I was gonna, cool, that's cool. Now I was gonna look up, I don't see where I have it. Everything's a little too late. I was gonna show the logo, but I can't find it.
That's okay. That's okay. It is just Beautiful You coaching within the App Store, and I'll be top of the list.
Perfect. Awesome. All right, Stacey, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I'm so grateful to have you. And for those, was there anything you wanted to share before we?
No, just I guess the biggest thing that I'm feeling right now in my heart is that you're worth it. So do whatever it takes to carve some time out for you. And just remind yourself that you're worth it. And whatever it takes, whatever it is that you need mentally, physically, spiritually, give that to yourself. And don't be ashamed by it.
No, that's right. That's right. Okay, well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to everyone watching, thank you for taking the time, for taking the moment, and I hope you have I don't even like saying day or night anymore. I'm like, have a beautiful moment, a beautiful you moment. Amen. And a wonderful life. I'm watching too much Wim Hof. Okay. Thanks for being here on the ride of my life, and see you next time.
Ciao.